Microsoft talks about Minecraft being the catalyst to working with Nintendo on Smash Brothers. Let's talk about it. Block content. What's happening, my block buddies, and welcome to a brand new episode of Blocked Content's Leak Speak. My name is Callum, and this is going to be your content for today. And boy, do we have something planned for you guys today. We're not only going to be talking about how Microsoft actually worked with Nintendo through Minecraft. Yes, Minecraft. Steve from Minecraft, the huge thing that everybody was playing. Well, we're actually talking about the fact that they have this partnership based on that game and how Banjo-Kazooie ended up in Smash Brothers, and of course, what that could mean for the original block buddy, right, Steve, to be actually in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. So there's a lot to go over there. And also Sabi, yes, the Sabi that has been leaking stuff left and right, has actually said a whole lot more about different Nintendo games like Breath of the Wild 2, when we might expect it, and that Paper Mario sequel is actually closer and more real than we all think. So I wanted to give a little attention to a lot of different things in the Nintendo leak sphere today. So there's a lot to talk about. I've been answering many of you guys' questions about these leaks, about games in Question Blocked, where I answer your questions. What do I think of your favorite game? How do you start making content on YouTube? Well, whatever you can think of, send your questions through now to blockedcontentmail@gmail.com, and I will answer your question live on the show in one of our next Question Blocked episode. And here's a brand new giveaway. You can win this Super Mario surprise capsule from Tomy. Any Mario item a character could be inside, I leave them closed so you can find out what's in it when you win, like real life loot boxes going on here. Okay, so like this video, subscribe to Block Content, and comment down below to enter for the giveaway. All right, guys, let's head right on into this. And I first wanted to talk about the news of Rare actually talking about Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, Minecraft, and all that good stuff. Well, this was actually posted on NintendoLife.com by Damian McFerrin, and it says, Rare explains how it worked with Nintendo on Super Smash Bros. Ultimate's Banjo-Kazooie DLC. We ended up with something that was really great. Well, this is insane because they did work together. Banjo's already in the game. It's a lot of people's favorite, DLC edition, favorite world, favorite realization in the game, and I myself am very much included in that camp. But also, why did they work together? How did it go? And what was that process like? Well, we actually go a little bit into it, and that gives us a lot of thoughts about actually Minecraft content coming to Smash Brothers, because I feel like this can't be just a coincidence. So he says Smash Brothers Ultimate has given us plenty of cool surprises when it comes to DLC characters, but the addition of Banjo and Kazooie has perhaps been the most noteworthy. While the dynamic animal duo is famous for two critically acclaimed Nintendo 64 adventures, when Rare was bought by Microsoft, the franchise went over to Xbox with a little apparent chance of it ever gracing a Nintendo console again. And of course, you guys know that there was a game called Banjo-Kazooie Nuts and Bolts, other like cameo appearances in different games like the Sega racing game, that sort of stuff never really returned to its glory until Smash Brothers came along. That's what made the arrival of the pair in Smash so amazing. It felt entirely unlikely at one point. In a wonderful interview over at gamesindustry.biz, Rare studio head Craig Duncan has been speaking about how this remarkable collaboration came to be. So if you want to check that out, you go to gamesindustry.biz. And he actually says that Minecraft had paved the way for that relationship between Nintendo and Microsoft. I met with Nintendo at E3 before we announced it, and then we connected our teams because we thought it seemed like a great opportunity. We had an initial kickoff call with Sakurai-san and some of his team. There was myself, Greg Males, who is the father of Banjo, even though he hates it when we call him that, Andrew Wensley, who runs our business team, and a chap called Paul Cunningham, who runs our partnerships. Those people had a conversation, Nintendo talked through what their approach would be, and then that process started. And then a year goes by of sharing animatics and ideas and character concepts. It was a back and forth. We ended up with something that was really great, but the execution came from the Smash team. Microsoft's openness to working with companies like Nintendo certainly gives us hope that other cool collaborations could happen in the future. We'd be happy to see Rare Replay on Switch, if we're honest. Now, a lot of these thoughts are very fun because, yeah, they work together. It's this huge thing, kind of like the Final Fantasy and Disney mixing, where it's like this huge company, other huge company, great IP, and now they have to work together to make something work. Of course, they had worked with Nintendo before, but these are now different times. So I love the way that they talk about having an initial kickoff call with Sakurai. I mean, I can just experience this in my head and kind of see a Skype call with Sakurai being there and some of his team members, you know, the designers and stuff that really need to know this information, that need to know what their idea is of bringing Banjo back to life. And then Greg Males, who is of course the guy that really talks about Banjo a lot, is super happy that Banjo is in Smash. And then Andrew Wensley, business team, Paul Cunningham, partnerships, and they all talked about this. And basically, Nintendo already had these ideas. So this was really cool. They actually, they approached each other for this idea, but Nintendo already has a very clear plan of what they want to do because, of course, Sakurai said Nintendo chose the DLC. So at one point, Nintendo did make that call to say, well, probably Banjo would be a good call, Banjo and Kazooie, and let's make this work and let's see what the other party thinks in terms of design. So the most interesting part of this is where he says, then a year goes by of sharing animatics and ideas and character concepts. It was a back and forth. We ended up with something that was really great, but the execution came from the Smash team. So I didn't think that they would be that involved in stuff like animatics and actually drawing and creating things and, you know, pitching them to the Sakurai and the Smash team, but it seems like that is definitely what is happening. And yes, we're all missing that huge documentary behind the scenes of Sakurai making that game. I mean, it would be really cool to see behind the scenes how Sakurai directs a Smash game, what his day-to-day job would be, and how these things come to life, what the models look like, what the animators are doing. So to have just this little insight of, yes, actually that third party was sharing animatics and ideas and character concepts. So the fun part about that is if you think about, there's Mumbo Jumbo in Spiral Mountain, there's Spiral Mountain as a stage, you know, there's all these different items, there's 2D, there's, all these fun characters that we know and love, and they basically had to go right to the source to get to have it be right. And it is just so much fun to think about the fact that this world is just so collaborative, that this Nintendo sphere, that Smash Brothers as a whole is so fun and open for everyone to play in that sandbox. I'm just filled with glee to see this, but also, I mean, it really makes you think if that catalyst was Minecraft, if that was ultimately the reason that they worked together, well, one might say maybe they will work together on some sort of Minecraft content. My guess is definitely a stage of some sort to happen in Smash Bros. Ultimate. I mean, a Minecraft stage could actually be really creative and fun. I don't know what Steve's chances are, but it's getting more and more likely the more that we receive this kind of news about that partnership. And just the mere fact that Microsoft worked together with Nintendo, that is a huge deal, but there has to be something more in it for them than just lending their IP that they are not really using. I've said this before, but I feel like if they want to promote another game like Minecraft, which has a big crossover in terms of fans with Nintendo and a big crossover, in terms of the general appeal of the audience, or a character that Microsoft really wants to push and become even bigger, which is Master Chief, well, all of that is still in the air. So I'm really curious to see how this develops and where this goes from here, because that partnership is something very special and it would have never happened years and years ago. And the fact that we now live in a world where Banjo is in Smash is pretty darn incredible. Now, the other news that I really wanted to talk about is Sabi. Yes, Sabi, the journalist, the person in the industry that's talking about all these sorts of Nintendo games, leaks, and all the information that happens there with different sources. I'm truly excited to talk about this because it is actually a game that is very close to my heart and that I love from the bottom of my heart, potentially getting a sequel. So Sabi tweets out, "Got some good words for Paper Mario from another source. Now I have absolutely no skepticism. Be hype. Also, got some more specific teases on the way. Won't say too much." So this just tells me Paper Mario, it's not really stated if it's a sequel or a remake of 64, but it is definitely, in Sabi's words, definitely happening. Absolutely no skepticism. So get hype for a Paper Mario sequel. Of course, Blocked Content started as a channel to also cover that kind of news and do analyses on the trailers. I would love to do that for a new game, so I'm super excited about that, and more specific teases on the way. I feel like he's talking about, Paper Mario as a whole, that this person is talking about Paper Mario, this specific remake or sequel. There are more teases on the way, so specific teases could be in terms of party members, they could be in terms of what the story of the game will be, what the form of the game will be, and what game it will be more similar to, like a Sticker Star or Color Splash or a Thousand Year Door 64. I really don't know at this point, but the idea that it is happening and that it might be this 2020 game, I mean, that is just blowing me away. Now, he also goes on to talk about Breath of the Wild 2, saying, Breath of the Wild 2 taking longer than anticipated back during E3 2019, so it doesn't seem to be this year's holiday release, which add more credence to the major title I was referencing on a tweet the other day. Neither are set in stone yet, so take some salt, the more likely one has tires, right? So it is interesting to think about the fact that yes, they did talk about a Super Mario 3D World port potentially coming. Now, this Breath of the Wild thing is probably not happening this year, but we are hearing so much about Paper Mario, a sequel, a reboot, anything like that. So if you think about that in terms of what the holiday game of this year will be, well, we have a couple of choices, and they all seem to be either ports or a new iteration of a game that we already know, a sequel. So I'm curious to see what happens. I'm really curious to know if you guys have any favorites that you hear here, the Breath of the Wild 2, Paper Mario, or are you more like a Mario Odyssey 2 sequel kind of guy, 3D World port? Let me know in the comments down below. I'd love to hear what you guys think, and if you comment, well, that could be featured and read out loud in our next video. Today's comment question is, what are you most excited about in terms of games coming up? And as for our previous comment question winner, our answer comes to us from Gamer26, saying, Geno's probably a lock in this pass. I don't think Sakurai and Nintendo would have the nerve to leave his Mii costume out in the first pass and then drop it in the second. The hate they would get for it would be as bad as it was for Byleth. Then again, we're talking about Nintendo, so yes. Gamer, thank you so much for your comment, and it is absolutely fun to think about the fact that they do actually make those mistakes sometimes, right? They do hold off on certain Mii costumes, then announce them later and get people very sad because they were thinking, well, if it hasn't been announced so far, that character might be in Smash Brothers, and that could definitely be the case with Geno, but also they could update Geno to an even better Mii costume, kind of like Sans and Cuphead. I think that that would fit the character incredibly well, and I already think the moveset would probably fit the character and work really well. Of course, people really want the character to have an original, cool, new moveset, so we'll have to wait and see where that goes. But if there's 6 places in that Fighter's Pass, I really hope that one of them is Geno, and if I have to say it now, I do believe that one of these spots will be Geno. So that are my thoughts on that character. So thank you guys so much for sending in your comments. These are always so much fun to read through, and of course, a big shout out to everyone donating the super chats and our live streams, Patreon supporters, and everyone who talked about the Australian bushfires and me doing a charity stream to, help out the cause. I love it, and we'll probably do that together really soon. So if you want to help the channel out in any way that you can, you go to patreon.com/blockedcontent so I can do this for a very long time. And remember, if you aren't yet a member of the Blocked Content family yet, hit subscribe now, smash that like button, and ring the bell for notifications, and all the news and fun you care about will be delivered on the daily to you. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you around the corner where there's always more Blocked Content. See ya!